So this is Binta Sisi, Admin and Finance Assistant of the Gambia Center for Research and Policy Studies. So I will put you through the session guide, whereby we have like two hours allocated for this session. The session discussion format is going like this. Like we started with the introduction with Miss Adama Toure for 5 minutes. We have the panelist discussions with the moderator for 1 hour 30 minutes, 21 minutes for the presentation. By the panelists, and then 9 minutes for the back and forth question and answer session between the moderator and then the panelists. So we can have a question and answer session from the public too for 20 minutes, and then giving a closing remark by Mr. Lamin Jajo for 5 minutes. So the overall topic for today's webinar is conversation on Gambia's economy, that is markets, access to finance, economic policy, and development. So the themes we have for today's webinar is macroeconomic implications of Gambia's national health insurance policy and the health transition, that will be taken up by Mr. Lamin Jaju. And then second on the list, we have the trend and management of exchange rates and their impacts on market prices, stability in the Gambia by Mr. Kitabu Jame. Third, we have trends in agricultural productivity in the Gambia by Dr. Usman Gajigo. So we hope that this is going to be a great session today. Okay, so first on the list, we have Mr. Lamin Jaju. You can take us through your presentation, sir. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator, and good afternoon to the panelists, wherever you are. Yes, first I will start with the topic given to me, that is national health insurance and its implication on the Gambian economy. So what I will do, I'll go through the various issues that you want to cover. First of all, you need to ask yourself, what is this concept we are talking about, which is national insurance? So basically, it involves financial protection for individuals against certain risks, such as illness, unemployment, or old age. Health insurance, therefore, provides that financial protection to individuals against certain risks, such as illness. In other words, it covers the whole or part of risks of a person in foreign medical expenses. It was started in the UK. Therefore, you see that national insurance scheme is funded through contribution made by the individual, the employers, and the state. So these are the three major mode of funding. Of course, we realize that development partners also play a role. Okay. When it comes to national health insurance in the Gambia, we have to be conscious of the fact that there is an act, which is act to establish a national insurance authority. So it is that act that implements the national health insurance scheme, and the scheme basically will fund to pay for the cost of health services to members of the scheme and to provide for the establishment of private health insurance scheme and for concerned members. So we look at objects of the authority. So the authority is set to ensure the attainment of universal health coverage for the Gambia, because if you look at the Gambian health policy. This is the goal of the health policy, to have universal health coverage. So it is also the act that established the board. So the board basically shall meet at least once every 3 months for the discharge of the authority, for the discharge of business of the authority. This act basically shall be administered by the National Insurance Authority. The act, that is the National Health Insurance Authority, we are continuing on that, was passed by the National Assembly on the 8th of November 2021. It was assented by the President on the November 29th, and then gazetted December 2nd. Cost of the National Health Insurance. The cost of the National Insurance Scheme, basically, you can categorize it into three baskets. So it's a function of the board, authority, and the services. When you look at the board, the business of the board is to charge the business of the authority and granting credentials to service providers. So the board is made of 5 committees. One of them is the Committee for Complaints Review, National Health Insurance Oversight Committee, Private Health Insurance Committee, Audit Committee, Fund Management and Investment Committee. Then the other component here we look at is the authority. The role of the authority basically is to look at staff and operational issues. Operational issues, I mean, operating the national insurance scheme, health insurance scheme. Then you have other services of the national health insurance aside from the scheme that are implemented by the board, like there should be a national health service tribunal. There should be a tribunal. Then the other area we will look at is the cost premium. The cost premium is the function of like health benefits, where the health benefit is defined by the essential medicine list or service and medical tariff or medicine tariff or service. The medicine list and tariff shall be reviewed every 2 years. This is what the Act stipulates. Okay, I will digress a bit just to highlight the importance or the seriousness of the concept we are talking about in Gambia, which is the National Health Insurance Scheme. But I will just go into the US, where we had the Affordable Care Act or the Obama Act. So the Obama Act basically requires individual or small group of this give individual or small group of companies or businesses. It offer them this plan, health plan, and some of the services included in this are ambulance services, emergency, hospitalization, maternity and newborn care, rehabilitation, and other services associated with it, prescription drug, mental health care, laboratory services, prevention, preventive and well-being services, such as chronic disease management, pediatric services, among others. Okay. By considering the serious nature of this activity or this service, we have been following some of the debates that have been going on. Most interestingly, during the time of the Trump administration, there were a lot of times they worked very hard to make sure that they repeal this Affordable Care Act or Obama Care. One of the reasons why is that is the cost implication it has on the economy. So there were some senators from both sides of the aisles, particularly some notable Republicans like John McCain, Susan Collins, Lisa McKinsey, and others. They were part of the Republicans who voted against attempts by the Trump administration to repeal the Obamacare. Okay. So if you also look at the other side of the House, which is the Congress, there were various congressmen who also joined the Republicans to repeal, eh, yeah, in trying to attempt to make sure it block against the repulsion of the Obama care. So you have various congressmen, one of them like Christopher Smith of New Jersey and others. They also fought very hard to make sure that they keep the Affordable Care Act, even though they are Republicans. So I just brought this thing just to show you the importance and seriousness of national health insurance and its implication on the economy. So if you look at the National Health Insurance Act, the act basically identify some areas whereby funds can be generated uh, to pay for the national health insurance services in favor of members of the scheme, but also the expense for the running of the authority and the scheme. So some of the identified sources is that is proposing to have 2% VAT on all goods and services, air services, 5% on telecom services, 2.5% gateway revenue, 25% tobacco tax, members' contribution, international or internal authority generated resources, the national budget, donor funds, and gifts. These are all identified areas for funding the national health insurance. So now the question is its implication on the economy. So its implication here, we are trying to look at both the positive and the negative aspects it will have on the economy. So here I will categorize them in three baskets where we look at the impact on the individual, business, and society. So advantage on the individual is that the individual can rest assured that they can be covered for any unforeseen health-related expenses. Okay, that's good for the individual. But for businesses, you will realize when you have the national health insurance scheme, a lot of businesses will be able to pop up. Like example, in the US, you have the Aetna's, Cigna's, you know, these are all big businesses, and we hope so that the same thing will apply to the Gambia, where we have certain insurances which will specifically focus on businesses, on health, basically on healthcare, on society. Basically, the health insurance uh, basically lead to social economic stability in the sense that people will feel that membership to society, that yes, the society is here to cater for all, to make sure that you have this sort of equality, because equality, especially in terms of service provision, regardless of the financial status of the individual, is very important. So the disadvantage, as I said, here are also focus on individual, businesses, and society. So the disadvantage here is that individual choice and situation vary. Certain individuals say, well, I am responsible for my own personal freedom and choices. So I don't need people to dictate my lifestyle in terms of the implications, I mean, or the activities I do and the outcomes it may have in my life. For business, the challenge they have is that it could lead to higher cost of investment. Staff costs might definitely increase because as a business, you are bound to pay at least certain provision either on, yeah, basically on a monthly basis towards the insurance of your staff. This is definitely uh, a challenge for small businesses. But uh, to society, basically, one of the challenges is inflation in terms of general price increase. Also, it could lead to, uh, like in the US, the Republicans will always complain about high fiscal deficit and high cost on government. So these are some of the challenges you may have associated with it. And also, when we look at the Gambia, basically the concept started. There is a pilot program that started around the area, I understand. So where certain categories of people, especially that is the poor and the vulnerable, are catered for. So in conclusion, since the presentation is a 30-minute one, is that national health insurance play an essential role in supporting individuals who are unable to work due to illness or disability. Of course, we are cognizant of the fact that despite the criticism, there is no denying that it's important in safeguarding the standard of living across many generations. And we believe that Gambia will not be an exception when it's fully operational. As I said earlier on, it's in a pilot phase. We believe that will help to be a sort of stabilization in terms of the health benefit of the poor. So I will stop here for the time being. Thank you. And these are some of the reference material for those students of research who may be interested in. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bojan, for that brilliant deliberation on national health insurance and its macroeconomic implications. Your presentation, even though I joined later, draws on the inspiration from the Obamacare and the discussions around it and how the Republican tried to repeal it because of its cost on the economy, and then an introduction into the National Health Insurance Scheme that the Gambia is it's planning to institute, delineating on the sources of the funds, which will come from, for example, from VAT, 2% on VAT, and 5% on telecom services, and other costs, including members' contribution. Um, then on the advantages, the most interesting part of the presentation, on what would be the advantages and the disadvantages of the health insurance scheme, taking it from the individual, where the individual benefit from better health services, especially from the lower end of the income scale, where it helps to reduce the health inequalities in the society, as well as in the businesses, where you would have new businesses created along the line of health insurance, the value chain, where people can create new businesses that see to the needs of the people as and when they get into the scheme. As well as a society, in terms of the advantages, you have a better and more healthier society, which translates into a more productive society. And the disadvantages to the individual, for example, in terms of the contribution that will come in, but also into businesses in terms of what we expect to spill over to prices, as well as reduce investment as cost of businesses increase because of the contributions they're supposed to make, as well as onto the society. So I think this is a brilliant presentation. Thank you, Mr. Bojan. Congratulations for that. We will take it up from there, and we are going to go into question and answers. And we would like to throw this question to Mr. Bojan to look at, for example, the gap between those who can work and those who cannot continue constitutes an inequality, right? With repercussion. Inequality comes in different forms. Could be income, could be health, and all of that, right? What policies include the health insurance policy to emerge from the crisis and transform the nation's healthcare industries? In other words, what policies should the Gambia put forward to actually emerge from this crisis and transform the nation's healthcare system? Mr. Boja.
Very much. I think your question is self-answered. Government taking the decision to come with the national insurance policy, I think, is highly comfortable. We believe this will be an equalizer to society in terms of making everyone access to health services. As we said, health is everybody's business. A healthy population becomes a wealthy population, and that will increase national productivity, as you, alluded in your summary. So I think, just briefly, I will stop there. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bojang, for that brilliant answer. I would like to ask another question from based on your presentation. We've seen that the scheme has both advantages and disadvantages for both the individual and the society, collectively put together. So for skeptics, at this stage of the insurance scheme putting into policy, would want to know, for example, does the advantages in terms of the productivity boost that we expect to get and a better, more healthier population that we expect from the scheme, can you, I want you to delineate on, for example, critics who would think that the cost of this national health insurance would outweigh the benefits.
Oh.
Okay, in terms of productivity boost that the country is going to gain in the long term. Can you, for example, throw some light on this to critics who think that the cost of this in terms of higher prices, in terms of more budget deficit for a country that is already suffering from higher debts and large fiscal, narrow fiscal space? Can you throw some light on whether the benefit of this health insurance scheme would outweigh the cost of it, especially in the long term?
Okay, thank you very much. I think the question again is very clear. Uh, Here I will categorize my answer into two categories. In the short term, the implication of this is that it's very costly. It's very costly on government. Secondly, you look at the medium term to the long term. Of course, in the medium towards the long term, it will have a lot of benefits in terms of the healthy population. People will tend to live longer because if you look at the life expectancy of Gambians, it's roughly around 61 years or something like that, if I got the data right. So this is something which is a concern compared to some of our neighboring countries. Because last time data I checked, Senegal had to have a longer life expectancy than the Gambians. So this is something. So healthy population will be something that the country will realize in the long run. Productivity, of course. So productivity will translate to economic growth. So we hope that when effectively implemented, will lead to higher economic growth. At what percentage, I cannot say, but we believe that the translation mechanism or the multiplier effect is definitely positive, whether it is on growth, on health, and well-being of the population. So those are the advantages. Yeah.
Let me just jump onto the last question for you. How can policies be designed to address youth unemployment and underemployment, considering that a significant portion of the population is youth and entering the job market?
Thank you. Since it's not close related to the health insurance topic, but this is important, especially when you look at unemployment. First of all, you have to look at the dynamics of the population. That you realize significant portion of the population are below 35, almost close to 60% or so. So policy interventions, therefore, should target that section of the population in terms of education. Education have to be something that should be able to attend the needs of today and tomorrow. So in that, the academic education is important, but I think now the new focus is on STEM, where you look at issues related to science, engineering, technology, mathematics, as well as IT and other technical skills to attend the needs of the job market. This is something which is very, very important. The other area of focus, which is technical and vocational education. This is important because if you look at the various skill sets that are available in Gambia, you will realize the majority of the service providers, those skills are non-Gambian. So there is job in Gambia. You have a lot of jobs here. But the thing is, the population we have are not in a position to provide those services. So that's the challenge. So I believe that government has taken some bold steps in trying to promote some pivot education. So STEM is something that could definitely be considered. The other issue is that financing. Yes, after acquiring these technical skills and vocational skills, financing is very, very important. Yeah. To me, one of the challenges we have in this country is the financing system. The way our financing sector operates, I'll just give you an example. Like the bank, yeah, the bank sometimes they are not very welcoming in terms of the high cost of borrowing and the
STEM
collateral.
is a very important.
Yeah, okay. So these are the key areas I want to highlight.
Much for that wonderful presentation, Mr. Lamin Bojang. This was very interesting, and I hope it would impact us in our lives one in one or the other way.